question number 3. So that question number 3 for May 2016, it reads that on 1st of January 2016, on 1st of January 2016, Mavuno Limited was in the process of raising funds to undertake 4 investment projects. Was in the process of raising funds to undertake the 4 investment projects. So this project required a total of shillings 30 million. These projects required a total of shillings 30 million. So given below are details relating to the 4 investment projects. Given below are the details relating to the 4 investment projects. So there is project A, B, C, D, required initial investment and internal rate of return. So additional information is given, not number 1. The company had 9 million available from the retained earnings as at 1st of January 2016. Any extra equity finance will have to be sourced through the issue of the new ordinary shares. Not number 2, the market price per ordinary share on 1st of January 2016 was 25.6, which was ex-dividend. Information on the earning per share and the dividend per share over the last 6 years is as follows. So they have given you from 2010 to 2015. So note number 3, issue of the new ordinary share will attract a flotation cost of 4.6 per share. Then 4.9% irredeemable debentures, the bar value is 1,000 each, will be sold with a net proceed of 95% due to the discount on the issue of the 2% and a flotation cost of 30. Then the maximum amount available from the issue of the 9%. The redeemable debenture will be 4 million, after which debt will only be obtained at a 12% interest with a net proceed of 90% of the bar value. Not number 5, 10% of the preference shares will be issued at par of 80 shillings. Not number 6, the company's capital structure, which is considered optimal, is as follows. So equity capital is 45%. Then preference share capital is 30%. Debenture capital is given as 25%. So note number 7, the corporate tax applicable is 30%. The corporate tax applicable is meant to be 30%. So the company has to exhaust internally generated funds before raising extra fund from the external source. So required the levels of the total new financing at which the breaks occur in the WMCC curve. So they want you to compute the breakpoint. The number 4 part B, weighted marginal cost of capital for each of the 3 range of the total financing as determined in A above. Part C, Roman letter 1, advise Mavuno Limited on the project to undertake, assuming that the projects are not divisible, then determine the optimal capital budget. So we start off with the Roman letter 1, how we can be able to calculate what is supposed to be, how to compute what is supposed to be the weighted, the breakpoint in the WMCC. So the question is May 2016, question number 3. May 2016, question 3. So we start off with the part A, how to calculate the breakpoint. So we had established that the breakpoint is supposed to be given by breakpoint. You simply get the amount to raise. Then you are supposed to divide by the weight. For you to get the breakpoint, you simply get the amount to raise, then you are to divide by the weight. So we only compute a breakpoint where they specify the amount to raise. So for this question, they are specified. They have said that level of the total new financing at which the breaks occur in the weighted marginal cost of capital. So here there are two of them. One of them is for the retained earnings, which is given in the note number 1. Which is given in the note number 1. Which is given in the note number 1. So they said that the company had 9 million available from the retained earnings. 9 million available from the retained earnings. So extra equity finance will come out from that question. So to calculate the breakpoint, the first one should be for the retained earnings. The first one should be for the retained earnings. The first one should be for the retained earnings. So to get the breakpoint for this, to calculate the breakpoint for this, so amount to raise is given. The note number 1, they said it is how much? So would you be able to take the 9 million? You divide by the weight. The weight is the proportions, which is given in the note number 6. So equity capital is part of the retained earnings, is part of the equity capital. So they gave you what percent in the note number 6. So 45 divided by 100, the same as 0.45. 0.45. So that now should be able to give you the breakpoint for the retained earnings. That should be able to give you the breakpoint for the retained earnings. Breakpoint for the retained earnings. So that is now the Roman letter 1. Roman letter 2, we also need to calculate the breakpoint. So this one is for the long-term debt. So this one would be for the long-term debt. Long-term debt. We also want to calculate a breakpoint for the long-term debt. So the breakpoint for this, one, amount to raise from the debt, you got the note number 3. You got the note number 3, where they have stated that issue of the new ordinary shares will attract a flotation cost of 4.6 per share. 4.9% redeemable debenture. The bar value is given as 1,000 each, will be sold with the net proceed of 95% due to this discount on issue of the 2% and a flotation cost of 30 per debenture. Maximum amount available from the issue of the 9% redeemable debenture will be how much? 4 million. So we have that one where you take the 4 million. We shall also divide by the proportion in the note number 6. When you go to the note number 6, the debenture capital has a weight of 25%, which is the same as 0.25. So we only compute a breakpoint when they specify the amount to raise. We only compute a breakpoint whether they have specified the amount to raise. We only compute a breakpoint where they have specified the amount to raise. We only calculate a breakpoint where they have specified the amount to raise. Where they have specified the amount to raise. Where they have specified the amount to raise. So that will be your Roman letter 1. There is no other item they have specified at the amount to raise. So that is now the 2 breakpoint. The rest, they said that, remember, after the 4 million, they said that after which debt will only be obtained at 12% interest, the net proceed of 90%. So they have not specified the amount for that. Also, they never gave you any amount where there was the issue to do it, the debenture. So there were only 2 breakpoints. there are only two breakpoints in relation. The retained earnings are the one for the long-term debt. So we go to part B of the same question. So part B, they were asking you to calculate the weighted marginal cost of capital for each of the three range of the levels of the total financing as determined above. So to get the WMCC, to calculate the WMCC, we need to calculate the component cost of capital. We need to compute the component cost of capital. We need to calculate the component cost of capital. Remember, there was the cost for the retained earnings, the cost for the ordinary share, the cost for the preference share, and also the cost for the debentures. Then we create that schedule. Then we come up with what is supposed to be the weighted marginal cost of capital. So we shall start off by computing the constant growth rate. Constant growth rate was not given. So for this question, you are to use the compounding method. For this question, you are to use the compounding method. So I would like you to go to the note number 2. I want us to go to the note number 2, where they had said that the market price per ordinary share on 1st of January 2016 was 25.6x dividend. Someone had asked, what do we mean by ex-dividend? Ex-dividend, it means it has excluded the dividend you have paid. It has excluded. X means exclusion. Cum means inclusion. So the difference between X means does not have the dividend. Cum dividend means it has the dividend. So whatever they have given you as 25.6, which is ex-dividend, they have already paid dividend on that. So that's why it is known as ex-dividend. It doesn't have dividend. But when they mention cum dividend, it means it has included the dividend. So you must subtract that dividend before you come up with the value. So we use that note number 2 for you to come up with the constant growth rate. So they have said that information on the earning per share and the dividend per share over the last 6 years is as follows. So they gave you 2010 up to 2015. So 2010, you name it as DO. So 2010 will be DO. 2011 will be D1, then D2, D3, D4, and what? D5. So we want to compute the constant growth rate G. So G is supposed to be given by N. Then Dn divided by Do minus 1. That is when you are using the compounding method. But we have already identified that 2010 will be DO. That means N will be 5 because DO, D1, D2, D3, D4, and D what? D5. So N will be 5. N will be 5. Then D5 divided by DO. Then you subtract 1 like that. So our G was not given. So D5 is the dividend per share in the year 2015, which was given as how much in the note number 2? 3.5. You also divide by TO. TO is the dividend per share in the year 2010, where they have given you 2.5. Then you will subtract 1 to come up with that constant growth rate G. So the constant growth rate G for this question, to get that figure, use the compounding method. I had given you that formula for the compounding method. Then also express it as a percentage. And also express it as a percentage. Remember, there were 2 formats I'd given you, how you get the same. I'd also shown you that to get that same figure, it can also be given by 3.5 divided by 2.5. So you raise the power of 1 or 5. Then you subtract 1 like that. So I had shown you that other point. So when you compute, you are saying you are getting what percent? When you express it as percent. 6.96. Online confirm whether you are also getting the same figure. So those who are online, confirm what figure are you coming up with. So I've seen a figure of 6.96. I've seen a figure of 6.96. So that was meant to be the constant growth rate. That was meant to be the constant growth rate. Once we have the constant growth rate, we should now start again by computing the cost of the ordinary share. We can start again by computing the cost of the ordinary share. So, sorry, we start the retained earnings. Start off by calculating the cost of the retained earnings. Start off by calculating the cost for the retained earnings. So cost for the retained earnings is KR. So KR should be given by DO 1 plus G divided by BO, and it should be equal to add G. Then, if you recall, we say that DO is the last dividend that was paid. So what was paid last is the 2015. So our DO will be the last dividend that was paid. The last dividend was paid in the year 2015. Remember, I said DO of calculating G is not the same as the DO of calculating the cost of capital. So there we say that DO is going to be 3.5, then 1 plus G. G is the constant growth rate, which you have just calculated. Then we say it was 6.96, which is the same as 0.069. So PO was given to you in the note number 2, where they said that the market price per ordinary share on 1st of January was 25, which was ex dividend. It has already paid the 3.5. So if it was come dividend, to use it, subtract the 3.5. You see that? If it was come dividend, that means it includes dividend. What we use should be ex dividend. So if you get a question where they give you like 25.6, which is come dividend, you subtract the dividend for the year 2015. You see the 3.5. Before you use it, we always use ex dividend, not come dividend. So we divide by DO, which is 25. 25.6. Then also add the 0.6. So that figure, convert it into a percentage. Remember to convert that figure into a percentage, because it is good to use the values which are in form of the percentages. Yes, ex-dividend, it has no dividend. In case they say it is come dividend, subtract the dividend so that you apply it. But there will be more questions on that, which will be meeting under the capital structure theories. We should get to know more about it. So that is now the cost for the retained earnings. We now also go to the cost of the ordinary share. Cost of the ordinary shares. So cost for the ordinary share is the same as the one for the retained earnings. But now it will be able to have the notation. So DO 1 plus G, then DO minus the notation cost. And G. It is the same concept of what we have. So it will be 3.5, 1 plus 0.96, divide by P4, which is 25.0. So when you go to the note number 3, they have said that issue of the new ordinary shares will attract a flotation cost of how much? 4.6. So we subtract 4.6. Then you also add 0.06. So that should be able to give you the cost for the ordinary share. It should be able to give you what is meant to be the cost of the ordinary share. So after that, we also compute the cost of the preference share. We shall also calculate cost of the preference share. We shall also be able to compute the cost of the preference share. So KB is supposed to be given by T, PO minus the flotation. Then you express it as a percentage. Then you express that value as a percentage. So go to the note number 5. 10% preference shares can be issued at above value of 8. So dividend will be 8%, 10% 80. 10% of 80. So 10% of 80, which will be the dividend, will be the same as 8. Now, the same as 8. So that now after that, we can calculate our KB. So our KB, our dividend is 8. So PO is the current market price. It's the same, sorry, it is the current market price. But it was issued at par. You see, it was issued at par. So the issuing price is the same as the par value. Remember, the issue price is the current market price. The issuing price is the current market price. So it was issued at par, which means the current market price is also 8. So the question did not provide any flotation cost on the preference share. The question did not provide any flotation cost on the preference share. So when you express it as a percentage, I suspect it will go back to 10%. It will simply go back to 10%. There was no flotation cost, then it was issued at par. When there is no flotation cost and it has been issued at par, then that cost of capital will just remain at 10%. So we go to the debentures. We go to the cost of the debentures. We now go to the cost of the debentures. We should now be able to go to the cost of the debentures. It's now to go to the cost of the debentures. So how we go of the debentures. So to get the cost of the debentures, cost of the debenture. Now these debentures are irredeemable. Those debentures are irredeemable. So you go to the note number 4. So note 4, you see down there for the note number 3. after the note number 3, are you able to see for the 9% irredeemable debenture? Yeah, you separate them. It is not 4.9%. That 4 is a different point. It is 0.04. Then they have said that 9% irredeemable debenture, the bar value was 1,000 each. Could it be sold with a net proceed of 95% due to the discount on issue of 2% and a flotation cost of what? 30%. So those debentures are irredeemable. So when the debenture is irredeemable, we say that KB will be given by interest. It's supposed to be given by interest. Then you remember 1 minus tax. Right, by the current value of the debenture, you subtract the flotation cost. Then you express it as a percentage. You simply get the interest, then 1 minus the corporate tax. Divided by the current value for the debenture, we subtract the flotation cost. So there are 2 of them. We start with the A as the 9%. 9% irredeemable debenture. 9% irredeemable debenture. We start with 9% irredeemable debenture. So interest on that debenture. Interest on that debenture. We get 9% of the bar value. And the bar value is 1,000. The bar value is 1,000. So 9% of the 1,000 will be giving us which here? 7. So it will give us a figure of 1. Then we should also be able to get the current value for the debenture. To get the current value for the debenture, take the bar value, which is 1. Then, because it was issued at a discount, you subtract that discount. So they are saying that a discount is what percent? 2%. So you minus a discount of 2% of the bar value, which is 1,000. Which is 1,000. So which is supposed to be which figure? 980 like that. Then flotation cost was also given. The flotation cost was also given. The flotation cost was given as what? 30 shillings. Or alternatively, they have done this. They have said that it is also the same as. It is also the same as. You simply take 90%. They have said 95%. They were able to give you that it was issued at a net proceed of what percent? 95%. Alternatively, so when they have what they have done, the 95%, the 95% of the bar value, which is 1,000, that's supposed to be like what? 950. So what they have done, they have subtracted on this figure the protection, which you have seen is how much, but which is now going to be 950. So then 95%, there is this 2%. Then this 30 divided by 1,000, because the bar value is 1,000. So 30 divided by 1,000 and express it as a percentage. It will be 3%, isn't it? So the 2% and the 3%, they add them together to make it 5. That 5, when they subtract to 100, is what they are getting as what? 5%. So 95% of the 1,000 is what is going to give you 950. So that's now the alternative part. So now what we do to get our KD, interest is now meant to be 90. Then 1 minus 0. Then 950. Then express 950. Then express that So there is also the 12%. If you continue on the same note, there was also where they say that the maximum amount available from the issue of the 9% redeemable debenture will be 4 million, after which debt could be obtained at an interest rate of 12%, with the net proceed of 40%, 19%. So what you have calculated is for the 9%. You also need to compute the one for the 12%. We also need to compute the one with the 12%, 12% debt or debenture. There is also 12% debenture. So the one for the 12% debenture, we start again with calculating interest. So interest is always computed on the bar value, where you get the 12% of the bar value, which is 1. Get the 12% of the bar value, which is 1,000. So this will be the same as 100, and then the current value of the debenture minus the quotation cost minus the discount. You see, they say it was issued at a net proceed of what? 90%. So that means you get 90% of the one. Like the other part, it was 95% of the 1,000. But this one, it was issued at a net proceed of 90% of the bar value. So we simply get 90% of 1,000, which is going to be 900. So that now our KD. So interest is 120, then 1 minus 0. We also divide by 9. Then show that part as a percentage. Then show that part as . So once we have done that, we should now be able to compute the WMC. Now be able to compute the W. But to get our WMCC, remember I was doing some summary in that question. So we start with the equity. We should start. So we have calculated the breakpoint for the retained earnings. We computed the point for the retained earnings. So how much did we get as the breakpoint for the retained earnings in the Roman account? It was 20 million. So we shall be having 20 million. Then we calculated KR and also KE. We calculated KR also KE. Cost of the retained earnings, it was what? 21.5. Then for the ordinary share, 4.79. So that is for equity. Then preference shares. Preference shares, there was no breakpoint for the preference shares. There was no breakpoint for the preference shares. So we shall just apply to all of them. But we calculated KB. Remember our KB, it simply remained what percent? 10%. Then now there is also a debt or debentures. For this one, we calculated the breakpoint. 16 millions. Then we have calculated 2 kg. kg of the 9% gave us 6.63. Then kg of the 12% got 9.3%. So when we are getting the range, the first one normally starts from 0, the lowest. The lowest breakpoint is the second one will be above 16 million. The next highest is the 20. Then the third one should be above 20 million. Get the total of all the projects. Yeah, so you get the total for all the projects. See, there is project A, B, C, and D. So if you add the 8 million plus 7 million plus 9 million plus 6 million, it's coming to how much? 30. So we want to calculate the WMCs. So we get the weight of equity, cost of equity, weight of the preference share, the cost for the preference share, the weight for the debt. The KD must always be after the tax. KD must always be after the tax. The KD must always be after the tax. So the KD must always be after tax. So the first one we have said is from 0 to 16 million. The first one is meant to be from 0 to 16 million. So when you are under equity, say under equity, 20 million and below, we use the retained earnings. Above 20 million, use the ordinary share. This one had no breakpoint, it will apply to all of them. See the preference shares. But the debentures, 16 million and below, use 6.63. Above 16 million, using 9.8. So that's now the information that we have. So we start with the first one, which is from 0 to 16. So this one, our WMCs. The weight for equity, you can see the weight for equity in the note number 6. Equity is 45%. So 45% is 0.4. So we are the 20 million and below. So 20 million and below, we use the and 0 to 16 is below 20 million. So you use 21.5 million. And when it is from 0 to 3. So preference share in the note number 6 is 30%. 30% is the same. So cost of the preference share, because it had no breakpoint, it will apply to all of them. It had no breakpoint, it will apply to all of them. Then when it comes to the debentures in the note number 6, debenture capital is 25%. So we are 16 million. You see, 16 million and below, we use the 6.53. So it is already after tax. Don't tax it again. When you calculate it, you had taxed that figure. When you compute it, you had already taxed that value. So don't tax it again. Don't tax that value again. So the next one is supposed to be above 1620. The second one is above 16 millions. So this one, the new terms 0.45. So we are still 20 million and still 20 million. And 16 to 20, we are still 20 million. So you are still using 21.5. 21.5. So preference share had no break. So this one is 0.25. So we are now above 16. Above 16. So when you are above 16, change to 9. Change 9. So we go to the third one. The third one is now above 20 millions to that. So the WM6 is 0.45. So this time around, we are above the 20 million. So when you are above the 20 million, we shall change to 24.7. So there was no breakpoint for the preference share to apply. So anything above 16, this one we use 9. Anything above 16, that one we use 9.33. So that is what we should be able to come up with respect to that question. So that is our Roman letter, our part B. That is our part B. So you are to go to part C. Part C, Roman letter 1, advise Mavuno Limited on the project to undertake. Advise Mavuno Limited on the project to undertake, assuming that the projects are divisible. Assuming. So I had given you a schedule of that. We compare the I and the review emissions. Just compare the I and emissions. The I. So what you do is say we'll be having the column for the projects, then costs, but it will be the initial cost. Then that's the total. million. The column for the projects, initial cost, total cost, IRR, WMCC, then also the division product, WMCC, and also the division product. So we said you rank the projects according to the IRR. You start with the one with the highest IRR. Are you able to see before additional information? Which project has got the highest IRR? So we start with the project A. So project A had an initial cost of how much? 8 million. So total cost is the cumulative. So far, we just remain 8 million. So far, it will just remain 8 million. So IRR is given as 26. So WMCC, you use the total cost, which is 8 million. So you go back to part B. The first range was from 0 to 16, isn't it? So 8 million is between 0 to 16. What was the WMCC? 14.37. So this one, IRR, is greater than WMCC. So this one you accept. That one you accept. We go to the next round. We go to the next round. The next round will be which project? Yeah. So project D is the next round. So the initial cost for project D is how much? So cumulative will give us which? So that we are still between 0 to 16. The IRR is given us. So we are still using 14.3. So that one you also accept because IRR is greater than the WMCC. IRR is greater than the WMCC. We go to the next round. We go to the next round, which is supposed to be which project? C had an initial cost of 9. So total cost will be 20. So IRR is given as what? 20. So 23 million is above 20 million. So above 20 million, you got other WMCC. 16.4. 16.49. So that one we still accept. That one we shall still accept. The last one is B. So B had an initial cost of what? 7. So total should now be. So the IRR for B is what percent? So the WMCC will be here. So that one you reject. Project B is rejected because IRR is less than WMCC. IRR is less than the WMCC. So that is our part C, Roman letter 1. So there is now the part C, Roman letter 2, determine the optimal capital budget. So you comment that optimal capital budget is the total cost of the accepted projects. Optimal capital budget is the total cost of the accepted project. The optimal capital budget is simply the total cost of the accepted projects, i.e. 23 millions, i.e. 23 million. You see, you accepted A, B, and C. So you add 8 million plus 6 million plus 9 million, which is 23 million. We have accepted the when you add the total cost. So that optimal capital budget will be 3. So that's now the conclusion of that area. That now should give us the conclusion for that question. So we shall now go to another problem, which is now meant to be the capital structure of the company. We can now have a new topic as capital structure of the company. The capital structure of the company. We now go to the capital structure of the company. We start now a new topic as capital structure of the company. So under that, we shall summarize that capital structure refers to the long-term sources of finance. The capital structure refers to the long-term sources of finance. It refers to the long-term sources of finance, which will include equity capital, which will include the equity capital, preference shares and debenture. Equity capital, preference shares and debenture. Equity capital, preference shares and debenture. Then another paragraph, you say that the financial structure of the company, refers to both long-term and short-term sources of finance. The financial structure of the company refers to both long-term and short-term sources of finance. It refers to both the long-term and the short-term sources of finance. It refers to the long-term and the short-term sources of finance. In another paragraph, we write that the following factors will be considered. The following factors will be considered. The following factors will be considered when making the capital structure decisions. The following factors will be considered when making the capital structure decisions. The following factors will be considered when making the capital structure decisions. The capital structure decisions. Number one will be the component cost of each source of finance. Number one will be the component cost of each source of finance. The component cost of each source of finance. Then number two will be the business or the total risk. Number two will be the business or the total risk. The business or the total risk. Then number three will be the size of the company. Number three will be the size of the company. Number three should be the size of the company. Number four will be the corporate tax. Number four will be the corporate tax. Number four will be the corporate tax. Then number five will be management and ownership. Management and ownership. Management and ownership. So as we don't require those details, I'm just giving them to you because our concern is about the theories. So now after that, let us have as a topic as theories of the capital structure. We can now have as a topic as the theories of the capital structure. Theories of the capital structure. We now go to the theories of the capital structure. Theories of the capital structure. So under the theories of the capital structure, we shall note that they are based on the following assumptions. 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 Number one is that the capital structure is made up of two components only. The capital structure is made up of two components only. It is made up of two components only. So the capital structure is made up of two components only, i.e., equity and debentures. I.e., equity and debentures. Equity and debentures. And therefore, preference shares are excluded. And therefore, the preference shares are excluded. Preference shares are excluded as source of finance to the company. The preference shares are excluded as the source of finance to the company. As the source of finance to the company. The number two is that all the companies will adopt the same dividend policy. All the companies will adopt the same dividend policy. All the companies will adopt the same dividend policy. All the companies will adopt the same policy, i.e., 100% payout ratio, i.e., 100% payout ratio, 100% payout ratio. Therefore, earning per share. Therefore, the earning per share will be equal to the dividend per share. Therefore, the earning per share will be equal to the dividend per share. The earning per share will be equal to the dividend per share. Number three is that the returns on the capital employed will remain constant. The returns on the capital employed will remain constant. The returns on the capital employed will remain constant. The returns on the capital employed will remain constant. And the company will retain. And the company will retain its original capital structure. And the company will retain its original capital structure. The company will retain its original capital structure. Then number four is that there is perfect and efficient capital market. There is a perfect and efficient capital market. There is a perfect and efficient capital market. There is a perfect and efficient capital market. Then a new paragraph, we write that the theories of the capital structure are mainly concerned with the following. The theories of the capital structure are mainly concerned with following. The theories of the capital structure are mainly concerned with the following. The theories of the capital structure are mainly concerned with the following. Number one is that whether the amount of the debts, in the capital structure, whether the amount of the debts in the capital structure, whether amount of the debts in the capital structure affects the cost of capital of the company, whether amount of the debts in the capital structure affects the cost of capital of the company, whether it affects the cost of capital of the company. in brackets WS, that is the weighted average cost of production. Brackets WS. The number 2 is that whether the amount of the debts in the capital structure, whether amount of the debts in the capital structure, whether amount of the debts in the capital structure, whether amount of the debts in the capital structure affects the value of the company, whether it affects the value of the company, whether it affects the value of the company. Then finally, number 3 is that if the amount of the debt in the capital structure, if amount of the debts in the capital structure affects the value under the WSCC, if the amount of the debts in the capital structure affects the value and the WSCC, it affects the value and the WSCC. Then what is the optimal capital structure? Then what is the optimal capital structure? And what is the optimal capital structure that the company should maintain? What is the optimal capital structure that the company should maintain? What is the optimal capital structure that the company should maintain? And the last paragraph is that the optimal capital structure will be maintained by the company. The optimal capital structure to be maintained by the company. The optimal capital structure to be maintained by the company. To be maintained by the company is where the value is maximum. Is where the value is maximum. Is where the value is maximum, and WSCC is minimum. Is where the value is maximum and the WSCC is minimum. The value is maximum and the WSCC is minimum. The value is maximum and WSCC is minimum. So that is what we shall be coming up with. Then when you want to get the value from so value of equal to value value of the farm equal to value of equity and value of it. Because under the capital structure theory, there are only 2 components, equity and debt. Then also to get the WSCC, it is the weight equity and the cost of equity. Weight 80 and to get the WSCC equal to the weight of equity multiplied by the cost of equity, then the weight of the debt, the cost of debt. So that is now what we should be doing when it comes to calculating. Then let us also write something brief by noting that when the company is all equity financed, a new paragraph. When the company is all equity financed, when the company is all equity financed, then it is known as, unlevered or ungeared farm. firm is called equity financed, then it is known as levered or uncleared firm. Then it is known as unlevered or cleared firm. It's known as the unlevered or. However, if it is both equity and debt financed, if it is both equity and debt financed, if it is both equity and debt finance, if it is all equity and debt financed, then it is known as levered. It's known as levered. It is known as the levered. So before we conclude, let us also write something brief. Let us also write something about also write something brief about Haman. Also write something about Haman. So under that, we shall say that it is used to determine, it is used to determine the beta factor of equity, the beta factor of equity of both unlevered and levered firm, both unlevered and the levered firm as follows, of both unlevered and the levered firm as follows, levered and unlevered firm as follows. So to get the beta factor of equity, so this is the beta factor of equity for the unlevered. So it will be equal to beta factor of equity for the levered firm. Then we divide by 1 plus T over 1. So to compute the beta factor of equity of the unlevered firm, be given by beta factor of equity for the levered divided by 1 plus T over E, then 1 minus the tax. Then that means that, so this is debt, that is, but it must be after tax. Then if they want you to get the beta factor of equity for the levered, so just make it to be the subject. So it can simply be the beta factor of equity for the just come up with that particular element. So that is now the summary of that element, so that now we need to get some questions from the past papers, but given the time, I will not be able to attempt any. So when we meet now in the next class, we shall get some questions on the capital structure theories. When we now meet in the next class, we shall now come up with some questions on the capital structure theories, so that we see how. So for now, we can stop there. So that when we meet, we shall now get some more questions. So let us stop there for now.